Namaste to everyone, and please accept my apology for not being present there in person due to some issues which I could not help. Shri Shankaracharya ji in Shloka 1 of Saundarya says that somebody must have done some punya, must have had the grace of the Divine Mother to get a human birth to worship her. Same applies for having met Dr.Goda Venkateswara Shastri as my Guru. It was the infinite blessing of the Divine that I met Guruji in April 2003. It's very interesting that in 1996, when I joined the Reserve Bank of India with the training at the Reserve Bank Staff College, Guruji was posted in the Reserve Bank Staff College, but I did not meet him. It took me my own quest, my own journey towards the spiritual path before I met him in April 2003 when I was posted to the Reserve Bank Staff College and my former boss Dr. Thorat introduced me to him. As I said, I had no idea about what this path of worship means. When I met him, he asked me, "What do you want to study?" I said, "I do not know, except for that I want to know what is Shakti. I want to know what is Shakti worship." Such was Guru's acumen to understand the requirement of each disciple. He immediately asked me to go and get a copy of Lalitra Sahasranama's commentary by Shri Bhaskaraya, and we started studying. I had no idea of puja archana, I had no idea of mantra, I had no idea what Diksha meant. In the entire journey, it was he who decided what I would study, what would be the next step of Diksha. Interestingly, I got my first Diksha on December 26, 2004. I think the audience there would be able to relate to that date. That was the date Chennai was hit by the tsunami. A week before that, he had asked me, "What are you doing on that specific date?" And I told him, "I'm going to Marina in the morning." He said, "No, you're not going to Marina. You're coming here and I have to give you Diksha." And I remember when he was doing puja and I was sitting behind him, the asana was shaking and we realized there had been an earthquake. It is said that the Divine protects you from danger. And my Guru that day protected me from death at the Marina. Diksha is the second birth. And I got my second birth that day. Thereafter, at every point, he himself used to decide what would be the next level of Diksha. And I remember when I got transferred to Mumbai in 2010. In 2012, he had one day told me, "When can you next come to Chennai?" We decided a date. I came and he gave me my final Diksha as he found was required for me to continue on this path of sadhana. I continued to study from Guruji even after my transfer. He used to give me online classes almost twice or thrice a week at 9 p.m. when I used to come back from work, and he would always make a slot for me to study. He would teach me in English. He would give me independent classes because he knew I didn't have much idea of the language, and also given my office schedule and my own requirement of the study which I wanted to do, he made it a point to make time for me to study. One day I remember I had asked him, "Guruji, what's the meaning of the Diksha name?" And he had said, "That is the person, that is the being you have to become." Dr. Goda Venkateswara Shastri's Diksha name was Amriteshwar, and Amma is Amriteshwar Amba. I remember one day I was in Chennai and I was studying from him. Some lady had visited Guru's house and she was very agitated. She was speaking something to Guruji and Amma in Tamil language, which I don't understand, and she was very, very agitated and very, very disturbed. And Guruji asked him to sit and said that, "Let me just teach this disciple and I'll speak with you in a while." After a few minutes, I noticed that this lady was so peaceful, so happy, so happily chatting with Amma, as if whatever was the agitation she was carrying was totally gone. And at that point, I realized Guruji was the true form of Amriteshwar. Just speaking with him, just being in his presence, one was totally covered with peace, happiness, and which was directly something which I witnessed. That episode has stayed like a beacon in front of me. That is the level one has to emulate. That level of tapasya, to become that is not easy. One can study shastras, one can know various languages, but the ability to transfer that knowledge to a disciple as per the requirement of the disciple, the ability to be compassionate to everyone who comes to you and look at them without any biases, the ability to not think of your comfort but be available to your students anytime they reach you is divine. And that was something he had achieved. A guru is supposed to be a friend, philosopher, and guide. To me, he was all that and something more. Being from Reserve Bank of India, he often understood the nuances of the institution and also the work we do. And while studying also, used to sometimes just share. I used to share with him what is happening in the office, how I'm dealing with the things. I used to turn to him when I found myself in slots where I thought it was difficult for me to handle. And he always guided me for the correct path and the correct action. He had his own ambition for me in my professional life as well. He often used to ask me, when are you going to get your next promotion? And I used to tell him that, Guruji, don't you think it will be very difficult to continue with the sadhana and also be able to handle so much of responsibility? It is with his grace and with the grace of the Divine Mother, whatever I have achieved in my spiritual path, in my professional life, and my personal life. One can study various shastras, one can study various languages, one may be able to teach many people. But the most distinguished part of a realized soul, the most distinguished part of a guru who is par excellence, is the fact that despite of all this, is not touched by ego. And those of you and those of us who have interacted with him know that there was never any ego, never any arrogance, never any sense of pride in who he was, what he knew, and what he had been able to achieve. Shri Shankaracharya ji in Shloka 27 says, Chapo Jalpam Shilpam. I take this opportunity today to say that whatever I do, whatever I have been able to do in my life, is nothing but an offering to my Guru and the Divine Mother. Namaste.